Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be watching a movie called Aftersun. This movie is a movie that was talked about to death in 2022, a movie that was very underlooked and wasn't even nominated for Best Picture. Anyways, that doesn't really tell you much about this movie. I don't know anything about it. I kind of know the synopsis, but I'm not going to share that. You're going to enjoy watching this movie with me as I experience it. I don't know how I'm going to feel the epic highs and lows of high school football. I have no idea what I'm going to feel, but I can't wait to watch this movie. I hear that this is getting a lot of buzz from the main performances, especially Paul Mescal, who is actually nominated. The only nomination in the entire Academy Awards list for this movie is for him as the lead actor. So I think that's pretty impressive, and I can't wait to watch this thing. With all that said, I'm pretty hyped to watch this movie, and I can't wait for you to experience watching it with me. So let's get into it, okay? Enough talking. Let's do this.
When you were 11, what did you think you would be doing now?
Whoa, that was cool. That was a cool edit. Without any context, if you just turn this movie on, I would think I'm watching like the new Paranormal Activity movie. Just because I'm getting like an eerie feeling of the beginning of it. I'm settling in though. This is really interesting. I wonder if this movie was shot on film. It feels like such a 90s or early 2000s movie. And I don't know, I get like a feeling of Linklater a little bit from this style of movie. I wonder if Charlotte Wells was inspired by Linklater a little bit. I just get that, I don't know, that kind of vibe.
Okay, thanks. Good night.
I'm really digging this, or the choices for the POV, because it's kind of switching from the daughter's POV to the father's, but not necessarily their perspective. But you can't really say straightforward who the main character is, who's the protagonist, or who are we watching, whose perspective. It really feels mostly like it's the daughter's, but she's asleep, so we're just watching the dad right now. You know, he's just having a little smoke break and dancing on the patio. And I don't know, something really calm and patient about the style of direction. It feels a little bit like moments in Call Me By Your Name, Luca Guadagnino. Kind of feels stylistically inspired by him, as well as hints of Linklater. Maybe just visual style. I'm just spewing things that I'm feeling right now, so none of this probably means anything. I'm probably way off, but that's just what I'm getting. I want to know what happened to his hand. I wonder if they're gonna tie that in somehow. Oh, he's doing a little Tai Chi.
Oh my god, he's doing some real slow motion ninja moves.
Last night, on the way home, I gave Teddy literally in the bushes behind the other pool.
Oh no. I hope she doesn't ask her dad what this means. She's way too young to know what that means. So it's very much in Sophie's perspective that we're seeing this, because we're not getting a lot from the dad. I'm very intrigued. It feels like I'm watching a home video, which there's actually home video footage in this, but it just feels like, you know, a family vacation or a family road trip. My God. Look at that dad fit. What year does this take place? You're too young to be dressing like that, man. Give it another 20 years. Wow. That's kind of a hard look. Like those very loose shorts with a belt hoisted up and then tucked in t-shirt. That's kind of a sick fit. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. It's got to be the 90s. This has got to be the 90s.
So what's your sister's name?
Sophie.
Oh, nice.
I'm her dad though, actually.
Oh, sorry mate, I just thought
That's okay.
I feel like tense a little bit. I don't know why. I'm just like, something's got to happen, right? Not like I'm bored. I'm not bored at all. I'm just like, I feel like this is like slowly building up to something. Like it's a slow burn for some reason. Because it can't just be a sweet father-daughter road trip. Maybe
No.
it is.
You're not twisting, you're just pulling. Okay, again,
Can't
like,
twist.
grab my wrist. This is serious, Sophie. It's important you get this.
Okay, so he's teaching
You
her,
can defend yourself.
yeah, self-defense. I'm just getting the feeling that they've been hinting at just like the idea of sex in here, like the two boys, not necessarily implying that they were attracted to her, but you know, there is some kind of assumption there to be made that they're like, oh, this is your sister, like she's close to your age maybe. And then also the girls in the bathroom talking about sex. I feel like they're slowly trying to make us worried for this girl, to make us like worried for her innocence, and that innocence is maintained. And then now the father teaching her self-defense. I think that's very interesting.
1. Head under. 2, 3, 4.
Can we do that?
You're too young, Puppet.
It took me this long to kind of wonder, where's the mom? Where's the mom in all this? You know, she's calling, but you know, what's up? Is this a divorce story? Is this a marriage story?
You okay, so?
I've not mentioned Claire.
Remember she had a boyfriend when we first met?
I was like, who's that on the phone? And you're like, oh, just this girl I like, but she's already going out with someone.
Yeah, well, they got back together.
I like her.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Swimming with socks on, that's the worst. Wet socks? Oof.
When you were 11, what did you think you would be doing now? Hello?
Let us in.
What did you think
Oh,
you would
no.
be doing now?
Go on, Soph, turn it off now, okay?
Okay, so
I can see a red light.
what did you do for your 11th birthday?
When I was 11, nobody remembered it was my birthday. And when I told my mum, she was so angry, she grabbed me by the ear, made my dad drive me to the toy shop, and made me pick something to buy.
What did you pick?
I chose a toy phone. It was red.
Good choice.
Thank you.
So we're learning a little bit more about this guy. We're peeling back the layers of the onion, as Shrek would say. So unfortunately, the video streaming service that I decided to watch this from, the one that I rented the movie on, paid money to watch it, is not...
It's just not available.
Anyways, complaints aside, I am going to be wearing a different outfit because it's literally the next day. So I'll see you tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah, it tasted amazing.
Did you just give her beer? Oh, he did. That's a pretty cool dad.
But you never know where you'll end up, though. Eh? You can live wherever you want to live. Be whoever you want to be. You have time.
He almost seems envious of her youth, of being young again. Yeah. Oh yeah, this he's phenomenal. I see why he got nominated.
Oh, you didn't sign us up.
Of course I did.
Okay, you'll move on in a second. I'm not up for it, okay?
Mom, Dad, it's a laugh. It's just one of yours. Holiday, we're supposed to be having fun.
Sophie, I'm not doing it, okay?
Oh god. Come on. Go with your daughter. Let me sing. I feel like I'm doing karaoke now. Like I thought saw you try. I don't know the song. I'm right with you. I'm right with yourself. Put the lyrics back up. Oh man, your dad didn't go up. That makes me sad. But it's like you can tell the dad's going through something. You can tell he's, I don't know. I feel like he might be depressed. Or...
You know, we could get you singing lessons if you wanted to learn to sing.
Stop doing that.
Doing what?
Offering to pay for something when I know you don't have the money.
Smart. She must get that from her mom.
Let's call it an early night. Fresh for tomorrow, okay?
No, I'm staying down here for a bit.
You're not too long.
Wow, she's very independent. 11-year-old. Just being left out here and dad's going back to the room. That's... Yeah, you can tell he's a young dad because he doesn't really care. Oh, he probably does, but he's just... He's not being a helicopter parent, but I feel like he probably should while on vacation, especially in a place that he's not familiar with. I don't know. I'm no parent. I can't talk on it. This guy looks like one of the Beatles. He looks like Ringo, like a young Ringo Starr. Well, they're like 10 years older than her. I don't like this.
You are staying for a couple more days, right?
Yeah.
Now you can get whatever you want. See ya.
Oh, sweet.
What do you want?
Can I get Fanta Lemon, please, in my office?
He's like, yeah, I know. I saw her give that to you. Super illegal, but I'll let it slide.
Fuck, we could do that
Jesus. What the fuck, man? What? First time talking to a girl? Jesus, man. Scared me.
Well, why are you coming out with us?
What are you doing?
I don't know, man. I trust this even less now. It's dark out. The kid snuck up behind you like that. I mean, these are all pointing for a bad time. Oh, gross. Come on, man.
So, I quite like you. Do you like me?
Yes.
I don't think they're actually kissing, right? I mean, oh, jeez. Kids are fucking weird, man. What am I looking at? Oh, is that... Okay. Oh, it's too young... Wait, is that her dad? I can't... Fuck these lights, man. No, okay, that wasn't her dad. Oh, she was just watching two young men kiss. Okay, as you do. Oh no. Oh, is he gonna go drunk skinny dipping, or is he gonna drown? Is this like the opening of Jaws? I just know something traumatic is gonna happen in this movie. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop at this point. I don't want anything sad to happen, but it just feels inevitable. Oh, I was not expecting to see this moon. Man, what is going on? Oh shit, we're in the future.
Happy birthday, Sophie.
Oh, I guess she doesn't like boys.
Right, I need to get a big clump for this big back.
Oh. Careful my shoulder. It's okay.
Sorry.
We kissed last night. He kissed me and then we kissed.
He's your age, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay, right?
That's chill as fuck. Just like that. Same age? That's fine. Whatever. He either goes with the flow or he just doesn't care.
As you get older, you know, whatever parties you go to, boys you meet, drugs you take.
Dad.
No, I'm serious, so I've done it all and you can too. I just want you to promise me that you'll talk to me about it, okay?
This guy's cool as fuck. What the hell? I'm not like other dads. I'm a cool dad. He's like the mom from Mean Girls. Oh, she's planning a little birthday surprise.
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, and so say all the world, and so say all the world.
I've never seen a guy look angrier being sung happy birthday to. Maybe it's because it's the wrong happy birthday. Oh god. Oh jeez. This looks like a Renaissance painting. Fuck. Jeez. I recognize that kind of cry where you're just like you can't breathe.
Did you have a good holiday then?
The best. Wish we could have stayed for longer.
Me too.
Yeah, this scene's gonna get copyright claimed. Yeah, I'm gonna have to mute this scene. I'm sorry. Oh. Jeez, I feel like that was supposed to be the centerpiece of this entire movie. It's built around that scene. Like, I felt like it was building up to that moment where these little vignettes of her in the future, or not even maybe her in the future, but this visual of him on the dance floor and her as an older version of herself, all kind of culminated to that moment. And you couldn't hear, but it was Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie. But then it started to get distorted and darker towards the end. And then the lyrics start to make more sense. Anyways, you'll have to watch it. But Sophie did pretty well for herself. She has a nice little apartment. And a baby, I think. Damn. that was a clean transition. Oh, we're gonna see it from his perspective now. Oh. Produced by Barry Jenkins. Okay. I was gonna say, there's so many... I mean, he's just a producer, but there's so many moments where I felt like it was like Moonlight. Moonlight's one of my favorite movies of all time. And yeah, there's so many moments where this movie kind of feels like it's alluding or referencing or at least taking some inspiration from how that movie was shot. I honestly thought there was another 10 minutes to this movie. The movie lays the groundwork, gives you exactly what you need to kind of tie in the implications of what happens after Aftersun. I'm not smart enough to dissect this movie. I definitely need to. I have some theories and some that are probably like obvious. I definitely feel like I got to give credit to Charlotte Wells. Holy crap, Charlotte Wells. This is your first feature film debut. That is incredible. I'm going through it here. You can see. So, okay, Charlotte Wells, 35 years old. The choices made in this movie feel like choices made from a much more experienced director. It feels like this person knew exactly what they were trying to accomplish with this movie. And let's look back at the budget for this movie. $3.2 million. I feel like this movie is definitely a movie that is underlooked by the Academy. Like I said earlier, I felt like this movie had 10 more minutes to it. Not that it needed 10 more minutes, but I thought there was another 10 minutes. So when it ends, I was like, oh, it's one of those movies where you're like, oh, it's over. Everything that they need to tell the audience is in the movie. There's no hand holding. There's none of that, hey, this is us spelling out exactly what happens. Obviously, something's happened between then and now, where Sophie is older, living in the apartment with her wife or girlfriend, and there's possibly a daughter, or that's not even their daughter. It could be just a baby that represents her innocence, her as a young child, maybe. Because time is kind of fluid in this thing. It doesn't really represent one time or the next. It's kind of her recalling these memories through the footage from the camcorder, and her recalling this strong memory that she has with her father. But then we're also seeing little moments, little vignettes of her not quite being able to reach her father up until that moment on the dance floor when she sees an image of her father dancing in the middle of this nightclub, and we realize it's tied to that last moment or that last dance with her. He's not even wearing the same shirt though, so I'm not sure of everything that's happening in terms of meaning or metaphor. This is going to be me sort of recalling what happens in the movie, and I don't know if this is considered a spoiler. I don't know if I'm even correct, but this is going to be me trying to repiece what I just witnessed with you guys, and then I'll give you my thoughts and what I thought of the movie. I need to reflect on this movie before I give it a score, but I was very moved, so keep that in mind. If that's all you want to hear, then bye, I'll see you later. But for now, I'm going to repiece what I thought happened in the movie. So this is pretty much a story about a father and a daughter, and obviously the father is no longer with the mother. The mother is still a part very much in both of their lives, and possibly he still has some love for the mother, but she's moved on, and he's tried to move on, but he can't quite get it. And throughout the movie, we see that he is practicing Tai Chi, meditation, and these are all things that you use to sort of cope with, you and your anxiety and possibly depression, things that kind of get you out of your own body and allow you to examine yourself and make peace with yourself. But you can see throughout this movie, he's trying those things. He's trying to be detached from himself, but you can see that he's very distant throughout the movie, even with his own daughter. Throughout the movie, you can feel like he's being dutiful to his daughter. He is being a good father. He is telling her that he'll always be there with her, but you can tell he's struggling with something. And then there's little brief moments throughout this movie where it cuts to his perspective, but we never really see him up front, or we never see what he's looking at necessarily, unless it's through the camera lens that he's holding. But we see the back of him, or we see him through reflections. We see just a tiny portion of like his head and the far left of the frame, or obscured by something. Not the only time we do see him in full is through Sophie's perspective, which is her memory of her father, how she perceived him, this bright, like energetic, happy, and like and very open-minded kind of person. She remembers this distinct memory because this was this time that they had together on this getaway vacation that they had. And the way that this movie ends, you see him saying goodbye, and she goes off to her mom, and that's how the movie ends. And we go back to her apartment, and it transitions back to him in that hallway at the airport, and he closes the lens and he goes back into the room that has all the shining lights that looks like a nightclub, and then the movie ends. And I think my takeaway from this, and this is probably, like I said, very obvious to a lot of people, but I'm pretty sure he may or may not have, I don't know how to say this lightly, but commit suicide. It's implied that he has immense depression. It's implied that this is a time in the 90s where maybe getting therapy or taking care of yourself mentally, or even pursuing any kind of access to mental health resources was just maybe not as available or as well communicated or well known as it is now. Now there's like sponsors where you can get better help. Like it's literally a thing that you can pay for, and anyone has access to it. It's very different from how things were back then. I assume this is the 90s or late 80s. But that aside, this is also a young father where you can make the implication that as a young man, he may have mistakenly not used protection and had this daughter at this young age. Throughout the movie, you see that through their interactions with other people that are at the resort, that they're like, oh, is this your little sister? And he's like, no, this is my daughter. So there's clearly not much of an age gap between father and daughter. And you can see that he's still kind of a young man in spirit. Like, he feels like he's pretty close to my age, and I'm in my late 20s, and I believe he's supposed to be either on the cusp of 30 or in his very early 30s. So he had this daughter very young. She's an 11-year-old, so he might have had her when he was a teenager even. But yeah, you can kind of see the things that he's dealing with, the anxiety of it all, and the feeling like he wishes he was her age again. And he's looking at her throughout the entire movie in a way where he's almost envious and just admiring, like that perspective of just everything is new, the whole world is in front of you and nothing's left behind. During the karaoke scene, she mentions to her father that he can't afford singing lessons when he offers to give her singing lessons, and he kind of has to laugh it off, and you can see the pain in his eyes where he's like, yeah, like I want to give you this false security that we could do these things, that you can have nice things, but he's also trying to tell himself and convince himself that things are okay. And that's one of the telltale signs of depression is, you know, you're trying to cope through it and trying to speak positivity into your life, but sometimes it doesn't help. Sometimes you feel like it's a dead end. And his performance is so understated, so subtle, but you feel every moment. And it doesn't need him breaking down. It doesn't need him on the floor crying. There's like little moments you can see that he's just contemplating life when she's not there. And when she is there in front of him, he puts on this face, you know, he brightens up, he tries to make jokes and teases her and acts goofy. But when he's just by himself in solitude, you see a deep, immense sadness, and it's so present through the screen. And the performance you get out of this guy, you just, you want to give him a hug. Like, you don't know what he's going through exactly, but you know exactly how he's feeling. And you can understand that. You make that connection immediately. And even from the beginning of the movie, you're like, oh, this guy's hiding something. I want to know more about him. He's intriguing because there's so little they do to focus on him. Like I said earlier, in the decision between the cinematographer and Charlotte, the director, they make choices to make sure to obscure him so that we never really have his perspective until the very end when we are just with him. And it's not really like him in real time, because he goes off and supposedly goes off through the door that represents death, that represents distance, that represents this kind of void of not being able to reach him. That's why she's seeing him from across the dance floor and reaches out to him, because she's carrying the weight of potentially his death. And that's probably deeply fucked her up, because I assume right after that, as an 11-year-old girl, when she goes off to her mom, that he dies. And we don't know if it's suicide. Possibly it's not, but it does seem that he does die, because she remembers him at that exact age. And you don't need to be handheld in understanding the things that happen throughout this movie. It's pretty much straightforward and painted for you. I believe that this movie is essentially about pain. It's about grief. It's about trying to move on from the loss of someone you really loved at a very young age. And how do you cope with that? How does that weigh on you? And what do you remember of them? And what you remember of them, is it them? Or is it an idea that they wanted to present to you? Were they hiding something from you? Was it your fault? Like, all of these ideas you can kind of see present through the character of Sophie and through the adult version of her. I believe the adult version of her is played by Ciela Rolson Hall, and Sophie is played by Frankie Carrillo. Very wonderful performances. I think that without Frankie and Paul in the lead roles, like, this would feel like a different movie. I feel like they are perfect for this. They feel like a father and a daughter. They feel like so natural. At no point in this movie do I go, okay, that felt fake. Like, it feels like you're watching two real people. And then the fact that you can get so much out of it, that you can pull so much meaning out of every conversation that they have and every moment of just silence. This movie appreciates silence. This movie takes those chances that could potentially bore someone and says, no, like, let's hold on this. This means something. This emptiness, like, that's what depression feels like. That emptiness that's overwhelming, like the ocean, that can feel as small and close as and vulnerable as being naked. Like, there's so many things in this movie that they do to show you visually, like, this is how this person feels. And if you don't pick up those things, that's fine. but I don't even think like you need to like look for them. I think subconsciously you just pick these things up and you know exactly what's happening. And that's the genius of this movie. And this movie is 1 hour and 36 minutes, which is excellent for me. I love a short movie that can tell a lot. This movie is deeply personal, and this movie does a really great job with making you feel worried about this young girl. It's funny how they set up the movie where you are scared for the young girl because she's being exposed to, you know, these older kids who are kissing and drinking and all that. But they actually are pretty cool. They're actually pretty nice, and they don't bother her. And all these things that they plan in there, you're concerned about the wrong things. You're concerned about Sophie's life, which maybe you should be. But you see that the father is going through something else entirely on the sidelines, and they pull you in at the very end with that last shot of him, and it's kind of a gut punch. You're like, that's right. Like, this father has been carrying this weight on him the entire time. And Sophie, she's going to be all right, but she could be better if you were still in her life. But would his life have been better? We don't know. We don't know. And it's that emptiness that we feel, that empty void that he enters at the end of the movie. That's kind of how we feel. We don't know. Like, he's just gone. And now there's that empty space that she feels in her life. And it's tragic. It's very sad. Now, all that said, I could be wrong. Like, I feel like I gotta watch it again, and I gotta know what other people think about it. Yes, I feel like this could have got a Best Picture nomination. There are only so many slots. And yes, there are a couple movies on there that probably shouldn't have been nominated for Best Picture that this movie could easily replace. But I see why. This movie wasn't yelling or screaming to be nominated for an Oscar. It wasn't saying, hey, like, let's campaign, let's do this. I feel like this movie was like, oh, I made the movie, let's make another one. Like, I feel like that's very admirable, and just because it doesn't have Academy Award recognition doesn't make it less valuable. It's a very great movie. There's tons of movies that don't get award recognition. That said, what do I think of this movie? I think that I was very much pulled back by the fact that there wasn't more time spent with him, and that made me sad. And I think that's the point of the movie, is that you're like, oh, but we get to spend a little bit more time with him, get to know him, see his side of things. Like, what happens to him? They don't give us that. We don't get that closure because we are supposed to feel exactly the way Sophie feels. We don't get that closure. He just leaves. It's jarring, it's haunting, and it's incredibly sad. And that's the genius behind this movie. So that's what I think. I think that this movie is extremely well made, expertly directed, makes great use of all the moments that we have in this movie. There's a moment we spend of him just like shopping for rugs, and I was like, I don't know what this means in all of it, but the fact that he finds beauty in it, and the fact that he's trying to buy it, and the fact that he just kind of looks at it after purchasing it. And I don't even know if that was a receipt that was handed to him, but the way he just kind of sits there and he feels sort of unfulfilled looking at this thing that's beautifully made. It's really sad. And I'm like, is this how I'm supposed to feel throughout the entire movie? And the answer is yes. Yes, you're supposed to be sad. Like, real depression, real anxiety, real sadness is quiet. It's silent. And it holds, and you feel it, and it's drowning. And it's not all just me being sad in the corner of my room, like painting myself into a corner and closing the windows and putting the blinds on. It's not that. Depression looks like you trying to beat it. It looks like a fight. It looks like you putting on your best face every day. It looks like you making sure that everyone else around you is comfortable and happy, because at least that will give you happiness, knowing that you're making others happy. That's what it looks like, and that's what this movie captures really wonderfully. So, great movie. Fantastic movie. In terms of reaction, everyone was probably like, oh, aren't you supposed to cry at the end or something? Because maybe other people did. I didn't for this one, but it's probably because I was like, oh, it's over. Like, I was actually just shocked. I was like, oh, it's over. And then I got it, and then it clicked, and I was like, that's why it's over. Fantastic movie. I understand why it's some people's favorite movie of the year. I would put this probably on my top 5. It's very thought-provoking. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this, remember to like the video and leave a comment, or just let me know what you thought of the movie if you've seen it, or tell me if you plan on seeing it. And after you've seen it, go watch this and then leave a comment down below. Also, subscribe if you haven't. I post a lot of shorts on here every now and then, so check those out too. I think I'm a lot more active on my short side. I also have other socials that you can check out down below in the description. I highly encourage you to check them out because it's a lot of fun to do short content and stuff. So I want to kind of lean towards making things over there. So check those out and let me know what you thought. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. Very, very happy that you were here, and it's 2023. Let's go. This is gonna be a great year for movies. I cannot wait. So I will be back for another video. What will that be? I have no idea. I'm still deciding, but I'll see you there. Okay. So as always, I will see you later.